All right. So page 96, here comes trouble. All right, so for this story, remember, we are still looking for describing character. Last week when we were reading, we read about Susan B. Anthony and how she was determined and strong and brave, and she helped give women the right to vote. Today, we are reading a Greek myth, which means it's a story that's meant to tell a lesson. It's not necessarily a true story, it's just a story that's told from generation to generation to teach a lesson. There are two characters in our story. Their names are Pandora and Epi, and they are brother and sister. And we're going to read about them and how they are similar and how they are different and how we can infer their character traits based on what they do. Okay, so I'm going to read the story to you. And as we are reading, we're going to underline things that show us about Pandora. We're going to underline things that tell us about Pandora. And then we're going to go back through and compare her to Epi. All right, paragraph 1. Long ago, Pandora and her brother Epi were playing outside when something strange fell out of the sky and it landed at Epi's feet. It was a small box that glowed green and purple. Epi eagerly bent down to pick it up, but Pandora held him back. Be careful, she warned. I had a dream about a box like this one. In the dream, an old man warned me not to open it. Aw, come on, Pandora, Epi pleaded. How much danger could there be in one little box? And besides, I bet there's treasure inside. I want to find out. It's better to be safe than sorry, Pandora warned. Let's go home right now, and we'll leave this box behind. But as soon as Pandora turned to leave, Epi quickly opened the box. Suddenly, the sky was filled with little stinging creatures. He slammed the box shut and started swatting at them. Pandora swung around in horror. Oh, Epi, what have you done? She cried out. After a short time, however, the little creatures flew off in all directions. Not only then did Epi and Pandora hear a little voice coming from inside the closed box. Don't be afraid, the voice whispered. I'm here to help you. Pandora thought carefully for a moment, and then she slowly opened the box. A tiny green and purple fairy flew out. I am Hope, the fairy said. You let all of the troubles out of this box, but I was put in this box to comfort the world. I will be with you always. Epi felt sad that he hadn't listened to his sister. Don't worry, Epi, she said kindly. At least we have hope. So this is a Greek myth, meaning it's a pretend story, right? There's not a big box that falls out of the sky that you open it and all of these bad things in the world come out. Yeah. So we know that it's not a true story, but we still need to look at our characters and think about what they are like, what character traits they have. So when we look at Pandora, Pandora says, be careful, she warned. What does that show us about Pandora? What kind of a person is she? She's warning Epi. She's like, oh, be careful. Don't open it. What do you think, Eli? Okay, so she's trying to be helpful. Yeah? Alani? Okay. Evan? She's being careful. Yes, she's being careful. And another word for that, Devin, is cautious. Someone who is always very careful, we would say, is cautious. So remember, you are underlining this and writing it with me. Be careful, she warned. The old man warned me not to open it. She's being careful and cautious. And then she says again in paragraph 4, it's better to be safe than sorry. Let's go home right now and leave the box behind. That shows again that she's being careful and cautious. All right. Now, when we keep reading, Epi opens the box and Pandora's going, oh no, what have you done? And she thought carefully for a moment. So she's still being really cautious, right? Can draw another arrow there. She's still being really cautious and being careful. She's thinking about it before she does something. And at the end, Epi felt sad he hadn't listened to his sister. Don't worry, Epi, she said kindly. At least we have hope. What can I say about Pandora? Her brother just let out every bad thing in the world out of this box, and she told him not to, and he didn't listen. And he feels bad. He's like, oh, I should have listened to Pandora. And he feels upset with himself. But she says, don't worry, at least we have hope. How would I describe her? Devin? She's nice. Yeah, she's kind. We could also say that she's forgiving, right? Because if she's being nice to him, it seems like she's already forgiven him. Make sure you write these down, Lily. Both of them? Because I just finished writing this word.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So she's kind and forgiving. She's careful. She's cautious. All of these things. Now I need to think about Epi because he is kind of a troublemaker. But I want to make sure that I'm keeping my people separate in my head. So I want you to grab a pen. It could be your red pen or your blue pen. And we are going to underline things about Epi in our pen. That way we don't get them mixed up. So my Pandora was purple, and I'm going to write that on my space over here. And for Epi, I'm going to use black. So anything I learn about Epi, I'm going to use my pen. And I want you to use your pen also. So Pandora was your pencil. Now we're using our pen for Epi.
I accidentally used my pen.
Okay, so you slipped them. That's fine. All right, we all ready? We've got a pen. Evan, did you find one or do you need one? You got one? Awesome. We're using this one for Epi, the brother. Yep, the boy. Okay, so they're playing outside. It falls at his feet. Epi eagerly bends down to pick it up. He's like, oh, cool, something fell out of the sky. And he's like, I'm going to pick it up. So he's not being very careful, right? He's very curious. He wants to know what's inside. He wants to know what's going on. I bet there's treasure inside. I want to find out. That shows that he is also curious. He wants to know what's going on in there. Says, as Pandora turned to leave, Epi quickly opened the box. So his sister says, no, we're going to go home. Just leave it there, Epi. And she turns to leave. And as she turns to leave, he goes and opens it. So he's kind of sneaky, right? If he's waiting for his sister to leave, before he opens the box, we can tell that he is being sneaky. And it's kind of hard to see, it's on the edge here. He's curious, he's sneaky. And when we get to the bottom, Epi felt sad he hadn't listened to his sister. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. So Epi feels sad he didn't listen to his sister. What does that show about him? Lily?
That shows that right there that he's sad.
Okay.
That he feels bad.
So he feels bad, right? He feels bad about what he did. So that means that he's caring, right? Because if he didn't care, would he feel bad? No. So we know that he is caring. He's just very curious and kind of sneaky. And sometimes we'll have characters in books like that that kind of contradict each other, that sometimes they're really nice and they're really caring, and other times they can be very sneaky and only think about what they want and very impulsive. So we have two very different characters here that we're going to compare. When you're ready, give me a thumbs up, and we're going to do some of the questions and talk about our written response. Question or ready? Okay.
Well, not really a question, but I already know all the answers, so I just filled them out.
Oh. Well, we'll check your answers to see if they're right then.
All I would need help with would be yes.
Yep, we'll get there. Slow down. We're going to be all right. Yes, Eli. You're ready to go? Thumbs up. Thumbs up when you're ready to go. Question or thumbs up? Okay. Well, we don't have homework. You have work that we're going to do during the school day at home. This one we're doing here. So it's not anything we're bringing home. So I'm going to go on Seesaw while you guys are writing things down, and I'm going to go and I'm going to unassign these to you guys that are in class, so that way you don't get confused. And I'll unassign the math also. Good question. That way you won't get confused about what you should do.
Memory.
Okay, ready to go? Looks like everyone's done writing. Awesome. Okay, so now we're going to look at our questions. Question 1. Yes, let's go ahead and go back to pencil. Thank you. That way, in case we make a mistake. Question 1. At the beginning of the story, why does Epi want to open the box? He's curious to find out if the box is filled with treasure. He believes that the warning in Pandora's dream is only for her. He doesn't care if something bad happens when he opens the box. He knows there's a green and purple fairy that lives inside. What does the story say? When it says Epi eagerly bent down to pick it up, but Pandora held him back. Be careful, she warned. I had a dream about a box like this one. In the dream, the old man warned me not to open it. Aw, come on, Pandora, Epi pleaded. How much danger could there be in one little box? Besides, I bet there's treasure inside. I want to find out. So, Lily, what's the answer? A, yes. He's curious about the treasure. It's like, maybe it's a treasure box. I've never had a treasure box fall from the sky before, but I would really like that to happen. That sounds really good. Yes, Alejandro's like, yep, me too, girl.
I would like a candy box to fall from the sky.
Yes, candy, treasure, chocolate, all the goods. Fall from the sky, make it rain. Okay, so Epi and Pandora each open the box. How do their actions change the story? Put an X by the 2 items that tell about these changes. So I'm going to read all the choices, and I want you to think about which 2 of these change the story. They all happened in the story. Which 2 change the story? So think about those as I'm reading them. Let's go home right now. You let all of the troubles of the world out of this box. An old man warned me not to open it. I bet there's treasure inside. Hope said, I will be with you always. Something strange fell out of the sky. Which two changed the story? Hold on just a second, Lily. Let's give everyone else a chance to think. I know you kind of sped ahead there a little bit, and that's okay. Why don't you take a second, Lily, to put your scissors away in your pencil pouch, please? Thank you. That would be very helpful. Let's see. Alani, what do you think? What's one of them that changed the story? Let's go home right now. Well, did they end up going home? No. So even though Pandora is like, Effie, let's go home, they didn't go home. So that one doesn't change the story because they didn't do it. Lily?
You let all the treasures of the world out of this box.
Yep. Oh, wait. One at a time, girl. One at a time. So yes, they did let all the troubles of the world out of that box. Does that change the story? Yeah, because before this point, they didn't have any troubles in the world let out of the box. They were inside the box. So when they opened it and let all of these troubles out, and these little stinging creatures were there, and they're swatting at them, and they're trying to get them to go away, that changes the story, right? So let's put an X next to that. Bless you. They do kind of sound like mosquitoes. I hate mosquitoes. That sounds about right. Let's give someone else a chance. It's okay. I know you're really on it. That's awesome. All right. What else? An old man warned me not to open it. Well, the old man warned her in her dream, but did that change the story at all? No, Epi still opened the box. Crazy Epi. I bet there's treasure inside. Was there treasure inside? No, and that didn't change the story. Hope said, I will be with you always. Does that change how they felt at the end of the story? Because Pandora's like, Epi, what did you do? And he's like, oh man, I feel so bad. I can't believe I didn't listen. I opened the box, but Hope's like, it's okay. Because I'm here. Even though you let out all the troubles of the world, Hope says, I was put in the box to comfort the world. I will be with you always. Epi felt sad he hadn't listened to his sister. Don't worry, Epi, she said kindly. At least we have hope. So because Hope came out and was like, you let all the troubles of the world out of the box, but don't worry, because I'm still going to always be with you. I'm Hope. You always have hope. And Epi felt kind of bad. He's like, oh man, I can't believe I did that. But Pandora comforts him. She says, it's okay. We have hope at least. It's okay. It's going to be fine. So it changes how they felt about it. Whereas before, Pandora was angry. What did you do, Epi? Why did you open it? I told you not to. Right? And so when Hope says it's going to be okay, it changes how they feel about it. So it does change the story. I would agree something strange fell out of the sky. This was my first thought. I had to look it up because I'm like, well, that did change the story, right? Because a strange box falls out of the sky. So I'm going to mark that one also. And I'm just going to change this to 3. Because I feel like it should be 3 of them. Because something strange falling out of the sky is what changed the whole story. Before they're just hanging around. And then, boom, box out of the sky. Craziness ensues. Yep. So now our writing prompt. And this is where you guys get time to shine. Irving, this is where you do you, boo. Contrast the characters in the story. This word contrast means tell how they are different. Tell how they're different. When I compare, I'm saying how 2 things are the same. When I contrast, I'm saying how 2 things are different. For example, I could compare myself and Mrs. Alvarez. Comparing ourselves, we are both teachers. We are both on 3rd grade teachers. We both have a master's degree. We both have children. We are both married. If we contrast each other, I'm younger than Mrs. Alvarez. She has been teaching a lot longer than me. I have 1 daughter and 1 son, and she has 2 daughters. I've only been married for 9 years, and she's been married for, I think, like 20 years. So a little bit longer, maybe a little less than that, something like that, like 17 to 20. It's been a long time. They're a great power couple together. Mr. and Mrs. Alvarez, two of my favorite people. That's contrasting. That's saying how we're different, right? I could also say my favorite color is blue and hers is purple. We're saying how we're different. So we are contrasting Epi and Pandora. We're saying how they are different. So when I turn to page 99, and if you are on Seesaw, this will be page 3 for you. It says, contrast the characters in the story. Tell what Pandora and Epi do and say that show how they are different. Here's your hint. How do they each act when the box first appears? So when I write, I'm going to start it off this way, and I'd like you to write it with me. Pandora and Epi both show how different they are when the box appears.
Hi, Chris Manley. Mrs. Manley.
So here's your stem. I don't want you to write the lines because a lot of times when I write those lines, I wouldn't even be able to fit what I wanted to say in those lines. Those lines are just spaces for you to fill in. So I'm going to read it to you, explain to you what you are supposed to write, and then it's going to be your turn. Pandora and Epi both show how different they are when the box appears. Pandora wants to do what? And she says what? This is words that she says in the story. Epi wants to do what? And he says, and what does he say? Okay, so we need to answer all parts of this prompt. We're contrasting the stories. We're saying how they are different. We did that. We also need to tell what they do and say. Well, this is what they do. It's what they want to do. And here is what they say. Yes, Eli. Yes. So when you get to this, Pandora wants to, don't write a blank. I want you to stop and think, what does she want to do? And then write it. And then write, and she says, what does she say that shows you she wants to do something? Okay. Epi wants to do what? And he says, what does he say to show that's what he wants? So I'm going to give you guys about 10 minutes or so for this. About 10 minutes, meaning 10 to 12-ish. I'm estimating, I'm rounding. 10 minutes. Okay. So please do your very best work. When you are done, if you were on Seesaw, make sure you turn it in and you've done both of the pages that we did together and that you have filled in all of this writing prompt on your own. If you are in person, you are going to bring me your Ready Reading workbook so that I can check your work. Okay, go ahead. Already done. Awesome, Ethan. If you're already done, go ahead and turn it in.